Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Muscle Building Mastery Podcast. My name's Andy Clements. I'm really excited to have you here. And in this episode, I want to do another little bit of a short rant about how to build more strength, specifically strength in the gym in relation to muscle building, because we need to build more strength over the long term to put on more muscle. But I think that this area of strength is really, really important because it makes up such a big component of training to build muscle, and it's something that a lot of people miss and they don't take full advantage of. So this is what I want to focus on today. I want to focus on how to 10x your strength in 5 minutes, which is a strange concept, right? But bear with me here because there's definitely a point and there's definitely a way that you can do this. Now, for me personally, how I discovered this particular technique is a few years ago, as I mentioned in a couple of episodes ago about logbooking. I'd started logbooking, right? So I had I've not got it with me today, but if you watch that or listen to that episode, you'll know all about logbooking, which is the art of the process of writing your numbers down in a logbook and beating them every time and holding yourself accountable to the logbook, okay? So I was already doing that, and I'd seen some progress with that, right? I'd seen some, because I was staying accountable and religiously logging everything I lifted in the gym. I was then going and beating my numbers, and my progress over time was going up and up and up, and my strength was going up, and as a result my muscle mass was going up, which is really what I wanted. But I came up against a bit of a wall. There was always this, it was varied on depending on what muscle or what exercise I was doing, but there was always a wall that I hit, and there was a certain point that I hit on every single exercise, every single movement, every single muscle group, where I just couldn't get past it. I just couldn't, whatever I tried, no matter what I did, I couldn't get past this sticking point, which was really, really frustrating for me. And I know that everybody's got a ceiling, everybody's got like a genetic potential, like we're not all going to be Eddie Hall, we're not going to progress our strength forever, and I know I'm never going to be lifting 500 kg or, half a ton, whatever it was, worth of weight on a deadlift. Like I get that, right? But I knew I was capable of more than I was lifting, and it was getting really, really frustrating. So I kept getting to the same point in all my lifts, and either failing the lift or just regressing in reps and not actually, not being able to even match what I did last time in the last session, or having to back off in weight, which was really annoying because I was logbooking everything and I knew I needed to beat these numbers, but I just didn't have it in me for whatever reason. I couldn't find the strength in me to beat them numbers, which was really annoying. My mind wanted to go there, my body just wouldn't follow. So I was getting really annoyed, I was getting really frustrated because I wanted to carry on progressing with my strength and size, but I just couldn't do it. And I was kind of starting to think, maybe I've just reached my limit. Maybe this is my sort of ceiling, my genetic ceiling. Maybe I can't go any further naturally. And, as I spoke about and alluded to on this podcast before, I'm drug-free and I don't want to take any kind of anabolic assistance, which is just my personal choice. And maybe, as I was thinking back then, if I want to carry on with that personal choice, which I did, maybe I don't have any room to progress past these points. Maybe this is just where I'm at, right? And a lot of people would have come to that conclusion as well, and a lot of people maybe would have left it at that, and I probably would have left it at that, because I was complaining to my training partner about not being able to get past certain numbers, and I was just getting really, really frustrated with the whole thing, and I was kind of downhearted, and I probably would have just thought, well, I've made some progress with the logbook, and I shouldn't really push it, I shouldn't try and injure myself and all that sort of stuff, if I hadn't have been doing some research on the nervous system at the time. Now I'll come to that in a minute, because one day I was in the gym and I was trying to beat some PBs on my bench press, right? Because I've been having this problem with not being able to beat my numbers for a little while. And I went into the gym and I was with my training partner, and he was like pressing ahead, like he was pushing ahead with his numbers, and he was getting really strong. He's a lot stronger than me on chest anyway. I mean, we're doing a bench press, and he's like streets ahead of me. But in terms of my strength on bench press, like it improved, but it still wasn't all that good. Like I've always been much weaker on push than I have on pull or legs. Like I'm always much stronger on pull or legs. But on this bench press, I was trying to beat my numbers. I can't remember the exact weights, but it doesn't really matter anyway. I was trying to beat my numbers. and lift more than I ever had before. And not only did I not manage to beat my numbers, and you know, because I don't generally go less than 5 reps for an exercise. I tend to go 5 reps and above because we're building muscle, we're not building egos. But not only did I not get my 5 reps on this new weight that I'd never touched before on this exercise, I didn't even get one. Like, I completely failed the lift. Like, I brought the bar down to my chest and I just had nothing in me to push it back up again, right? It was like gravity had just 10x'd as I was going down, and I just couldn't push against it. It was so frustrating. And it was also kind of a bit embarrassing as well, you know, like when you're in the gym and like, I know we shouldn't ego train. I don't ego train, but at the same time, we do all have a bit of an ego, right? And we don't like to appear weak in front of other people, especially other blokes, other men in the gym. And when you're going for a big PB, you're trying to get yourself pumped, and you're trying to drive that weight up, you probably do attract some glances from people around the gym who are watching you as well. And when you completely fail that lift, it's like, oh god, like you look around, you see people kind of sideways looking at you, and you think, oh man, like I've just completely failed that lift in front of all these people, and it's embarrassing. So it was kind of painful for me. It was kind of hurt for me, that. And it was just really frustrating, really annoying. I was just like, I'm just so sick of this. I just want to be able to push through these barriers, and I don't know how. So anyway, back to what I was saying before. I would have probably left it at that and gave up on it if I hadn't have been doing some research on the nervous system at the time. And I've spoken about the nervous system on this podcast before, in terms of the autonomic nervous system, which kind of means automatic, right? So this branch of the nervous system has always particularly fascinated me because of its applications to training and its applications to muscle building as a whole. So I was doing some research on the nervous system, and I wondered, could this research and this nervous system that the autonomic nervous system that I'm researching at the minute, could this possibly be a solution to the problem that I'm having with not being able to push through my strength limits? And I was kind of mulling that over for a little while, and you know, I kept researching. I wasn't particularly looking at muscle building you know, books and research and stuff. I was just generally looking at the science of it, and researching what this nervous system did, what it was all about, and seeing if I could draw my own conclusions, because I didn't know there's any. I mean, there might have been a few things out there about the nervous system at the time, but I don't think there was any real, like, in your face stuff about how the nervous system, you can manipulate the nervous system to build more muscle. So I literally figured all this out on my own, guys. Like, it was like I was like experimenting. I felt like I was like you know, building a Frankenstein out of myself in the gym, right? Because I was just experimenting with these different techniques, and I was like, I wonder if this works. Like, let's try this. So like, after the fact, I realized that other people had quite similar methods as well, but I literally just figured all this out on my own. Which was actually probably a cooler way of doing it, because I felt it was like this little discovery, this journey of little discovery I was going on, right? So the realization I had was that, first of all, like I've alluded to this in previous podcasts, but just if you know, you watched them or you're unfamiliar with the nervous system, I'm going to give you just a 1,000-foot view of it, right? So we've got the autonomic nervous system, which is like the name suggests, autonomic, automatic. We don't have any conscious control over it, but we can influence it one way or the other. Now, within the autonomic or automatic nervous system, we've got 2 different branches. Okay, we've got the parasympathetic, which is like the rest and chill out response, the rest and digest response, and we've got the sympathetic, which is like the fight or flight response. So that's probably what you've heard of, the fight or flight response, right? Which is the fight, flight or freeze response. So that's the response that we get when we're stressed. Okay, it's like the stress response. So the realization I had while I was doing some of this research on the nervous system was this. I was like, the sympathetic nervous system has the potential to 10x at least your physical potential when it's properly harnessed. And that was something that I was kind of like mulling over, and I thought, what if we could apply that to the gym? Because this fight or flight response, this sympathetic nervous system response, the stress response, it's not just like randomly inbuilt on us. It evolved for a very specific reason in human beings, and in animals as well, but in human beings it evolved for a very specific reason, and as the name suggests, it evolved to help us fight things or get away from things, fight or flight, which helps to push all the resources into our limbs and make us much more powerful than when we're just rested and chill out. So if you can harness that power properly, you can be much more powerful. And I had the thought, what if I could kind of hack that response that's been evolving within our species for hundreds and thousands of years, or even millions of years, which is obviously much more powerful and much more intelligent than you and I, because it's been had millions of years to evolve. So what if I could just hack into that response and use my own physiology and my own nervous system capability to get more out of the gym and to build more muscle and to pack on more strength? And I was like, I wonder if anybody's ever done that before. I don't know, I didn't come across anything, but I thought, well, I'm gonna give it a go and I'm gonna see what happens. So I devised a little bit of like a preset ritual consisting of like 3 components. The first component was breathing. So I figured out how to breathe in order to increase the stress level in my body, right? And it's kind of like the opposite of your meditative breathing, where it's like, in and out through the nose, slowly breathing down. Breathing preset for me was breathing through the mouth, because and through the chest, diaphragm into chest, to increase the heart rate and to increase the blood flow around the body, and to increase the stress response to the overall body, so you're more prepared to go into battle, which is essentially what you're simulating when you go into a set. I know I'm not trying to make out like oh, the training is, the gym is battle or war or whatever. I'm not that sad, but in essence, like, that's what you're simulating. You're simulating that kind of stress response within your physiology, right? So that's the kind of way you need to prepare for a big set. That's the first thing with breathing. The second thing was like intense focus. So it was you're not like 30 seconds before you go into your set, you are not scrolling through social media. You're not replying to text messages. You're not talking to anybody. You're not wandering around the gym looking at what everybody else is doing. What you are doing is you're focusing intently on the set you're about to perform, and you're using maybe like visualization techniques where you're seeing yourself driving that weight up and performing the set perfectly and being strong enough to beat your PBs. And there's tons of research behind all the visualization techniques that you can do to be able to increase athletic performance. And all you're doing is you're just using that stuff. So that was the second thing. It was focused. And the third thing was finding this intense aggression, right? Which sounds odd and it sounds like angry, but all it is you're channeling all this stress and all this aggression into one specific thing, which is your big working set. And that's what I ended up doing. And what that does is that helps you to channel all this pent up stress response that you've got and just drive it into one area, which is the set, to really drive the numbers up. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up devising those 3 things, and what I decided, I said to myself, before every single set that I do in the gym, regardless of exercise, regardless of day, regardless of whatever's going on, I'm going to do this 3-step ritual. And there's no exceptions, whether it's a bicep curl, a squat, a deadlift, a calf raise, whatever it is. So I'm going to do every single time, and I'm going to use it to drive my numbers up. So that's what I did. So no matter what the exercise, no matter what the routine, the splits, I did that routine before every single set. And it worked amazingly at first, right? At first it was like, wow, my numbers, my PBs started going up, I was like, this is amazing. But what I realised quickly, maybe after the first couple of weeks, is that this response, while it's really powerful, it can lead to like burnout really quickly. Okay, so the way I learned to sort of think about this response is, it's like, It can be really, really powerful. If you think about your body as a car, and you put your car into second gear, right? If you put your car into second gear, if you've got 5 gears, put it into gear number 2, and then you put your foot down on the accelerator, you put your foot on the gas, you're going to accelerate really quickly compared to if you were in, you know, gear 4 or 5, right? You're gonna, if you put your car into gear 2 or gear 3, you're gonna fire forward really, really quickly, a lot quicker than you would do it in a higher gear. And that's brilliant, because that's what we want. We want that fast, powerful acceleration. But if you leave your car in gear 2 and you accelerate and you keep accelerating and you're getting up to 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, you're going to do to your engine, you're going to do your gearbox, you're going to do all the car. I don't know much about cars, but you're going to do your car some damage, right? If you leave your car in a low gear and try and really drive it forward to a high speed. And that's kind of the equivalent of what happens if we abuse and we overuse this sympathetic response in every single thing we do in the gym. So what I decided to do was, like, I need to strike a bit of a balance between using this response to help me drive my numbers up and not burning out, because that's going to be counterproductive, and I'm not going to be able to actually keep driving my numbers up because I'm too knackered and I can't actually harness the response because I'm burned out. So I decided to strike a bit of a balance and use that response sparingly. So it was, depending on the day, it was either 1 or 2 or maybe a push 3 times that I would use that specific routine, but I wouldn't use it for every single thing. Like a bicep curl or a calf raise or an ab crunch, you don't need it. You don't need, like, you need to focus, okay, but you don't need to harness this massive you know, reservoir of energy and stress response to be able to do a bicep curl. You just don't. To be able to do a heavy deadlift or a heavy hack squat or, you know, a big bench press or something like that, then yes, you probably do need to harness your sympathetic and fight or flight response to be able to push your numbers forward, especially when you're reaching the top end of what you're capable of, and you're trying to break barriers. But it doesn't need to happen for everything. So that's what I learned. And what I ended up doing by striking this balance is it allowed me to increase my strength and to push through my PBs and to reach sort of new heights with my strength levels and my muscle mass levels without actually burning out my system, and make it much more sustainable. Now, I still needed a bit of a break every 6 to 8 weeks and a deload, which I'll probably do an episode just on that in the future, but it allowed me to keep pushing and for 6 to 8 weeks without burning out, whereas before, when I was trying to do it too often, I was ending up burning out within like 2 weeks, which was just stupid, really. So that's what I ended up doing, and as a result, I felt, you know, my strength went up, my muscle mass went up, I felt more confident, I was less embarrassed because I wasn't failing these lifts in the gym. You know, I remember I'm saying I failed that lift on the bench press. That stopped happening completely. Like, you know, I didn't always beat my numbers. Like, there were, like, you know, every now and again, I might stall, you know, so it's not like you know, a miracle thing that's gonna make you beat your numbers every single time, but it's definitely going to help you push through if you find a way to harness that sympathetic power. So that's what happened to me. I ended up building a lot of strength over the long term, a lot of muscle over the long term, and I was just over the moon with it. And I ended up teaching the guys that I taught that little ritual to, ended up building a ton more strength and a ton more muscle as well, which was really, really cool. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you take one thing from this episode, I want you to take being able to harness the power of your nervous system is the key to building more strength literally within each set. So there's a difference between just going into a set without thinking about it and going into a set with intent, focus, aggression, and a big stress response. So there's some more nuanced things to that I'll talk about in future episodes, in terms of what you need to do to recover from that, because it's quite taxing on the body. But for now, I hope that made sense. I hope that was valuable. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought. Drop a like on this video, or if you're listening to the audio version on iTunes or Spotify or a podcast app, follow the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you wouldn't mind leaving me a review, I would really, really appreciate that. Thanks again for listening, guys, and I will see you next time in the Muscle Building Mastery Podcast. Bye.